Welcome to Roots and Revelations. This is a channel where we talk about faith, nature, and the Word of God and how they all intertwine. With each episode, I will have bite sized lessons from the Word of God that we ourselves can incorporate. And it's my prayer that each episode on this channel will strengthen your walk with Christ and help you further walk into purpose, your God given purpose, and also your God given destiny. So, with this particular story or testimony that I have, I talk about how God made something what seemed impossible to me possible. And I'm so excited to share this with you, and I hope it encourages you. So, several years ago, I used to have two dogs. One was named Jazzy and one was named Ninja. And they were sisters from two different litters. And I was living in Queens, New York at the time. And so I signed up to go on a trip for ministry, and I knew I needed a babysitter for my dogs, or a dog sitter rather. And so I knew there was a family friend that I trusted, that she also had children that loved the dogs. And so I decided, it would be best to leave the dogs with her. It was a short trip. I would say it was supposed to be about a week-long trip. And so I dropped my dogs off to their house and we get ready to hit the road. So we're on this road trip. I think in totality, the trip would have been about 11 or 12 hours, like on the road, maybe 10, but somewhere between, 10 and 12. And so we're on our way. We're more than halfway there. And I want to say just before we arrived to our destination, I received the most horrible news, which was my dog Ninja was missing. Now, I was like, just I had to sit and be still and allow the Lord to just deal with my heart and speak to me, because I knew that he sent me on this trip and that that's where I was supposed to be. And I was given the option to fly home and try and look for her myself. But the family said that they would put out flyers everywhere, that they would ask the neighbors and every day, just try and search for her. Now, let me backtrack for a second, because right before the trip, leading up to the trip, maybe a week or so, I don't know exactly how many days, but I do remember a dream that I had. It was very significant and very realistic to me. And in the dream, I was in a basement and I could see out the window. And as I looked out the window, I could see there was a huge tornado, probably the biggest I've seen, coming straight in my direction. And in the dream, I cried out to the Lord for help. And I also said, Lord, please forgive me if there's anything I said or anything I've done that wasn't pleasing or acceptable in your sight. Please forgive me and help me. And I prayed that prayer with sincerity in the dream. And I remember looking, and there was a hand the size of the sky that came and literally took the tornado away. And that was the dream. And so I wasn't exactly sure what it meant, or even how to, I just wasn't sure. And so it was one of those things that I received it, I remembered it, and I just, said, okay, God, like, please let me know what this means, because I wasn't sure. And so I'm on this trip. I get this bad news that my dog is missing. Now, if anybody knows anything about Queens, New York, it's that there's tons and tons and tons of people, I'm sure well over a million at that time. And the chances of finding her were kind of slim, I would say. Someone said to me, "Oh, you're never going to find that dog." And I did not allow that to shake my faith, because I believed that if it was God's will, that my dog could and would be found. And I just remember I prayed about it, and I prayed a specific prayer with Psalm 24, verse 1. And what that psalm says And so I said, Lord, it was just very simple and straight to the point. I said, Lord, you know where Ninja is. Would you please keep her safe? And would you please cause her to come home? Like, would you see her come home? And in the meantime, would you look after her while she is wherever she is? You see everything. And so I had to release any worry or any anxiety or any sadness I had. I just handed it over to the Lord in my heart. And I prayed that prayer, that Psalm 24, verse 1. And I continued, so I stayed on my trip. And each day the family would contact me and just update me. And so I think 3 days had passed and she was missing. And a neighbor said that they saw her and that she was running. And every time someone saw her, they literally just saw her running. Nobody could catch her. And so that to me, it was an indication like, oh my gosh, thank you. She's still alive wherever she is. Now, mind you, she was not chipped. So if someone found her and took her to a vet, they honestly would have had no way of getting into contact with me because she also didn't have her collar or her tag on at the time. She kind of just, I guess, escaped out of their fence and took off running so fast that nobody could catch her, which was unusual. But, it happens. Dogs are dogs and they like to run sometimes. So, fast forward, it's time to return home. And just before returning home, I get a phone call, and the person on the other line is ecstatic and hysterical. And they are screaming, they are crying, but it's a joyful cry. And I couldn't understand what they were saying in the beginning, but ultimately they were saying, we found Ninja, I found Ninja, we found Ninja. And so sure enough, they found her. And 8 days had passed, or actually on the eighth day is when they found her. And when they found her, you guys, they took her to the vet. She was the same weight and she was completely clean as if someone had washed her. So, and she was in good health. So the vet gave her a good bill of health. And I was just so grateful to the Lord for bringing her home safely, for answering that prayer. And that really, it just built my faith to know that God hears our prayers, and also that He cares about the big things and the little things. And He cares about our pets. We care about our pets. God cares about our pets too. And so, yeah, that story I feel like has just resonated with me down through the years when I face other challenges or other things that seem impossible or unlikely. And so I just want to encourage you guys with that to remember, wherever you are, whatever you're facing, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. And so I also love sharing testimonies because there is a verse in the Bible that says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And that verse even goes on to say, let's look it up actually. So I want to encourage you to share a testimony with somebody this week, someone that you know, maybe someone that you don't know, but please do share, especially if it's something that the Lord has put in your heart to share and maybe you haven't yet shared it. Go ahead and share it if that's what you believe the Lord is doing. Thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to like this video so that you can see others that come up in your algorithm. And don't forget to subscribe as well. Please like, please subscribe. I'm looking forward to growing with you all and diving deeper into the Word of God and really cultivating our faith and cultivating our spiritual walk. And I will also intertwine plants and greenery and things, and yeah, really use some visuals in the coming near future. So, yes, thanks again, you guys. God bless.